What's up, guys? We are back for another NECA review, taking a look at a figure that I didn't really expect to ever get into too much in terms of this line, but having looked at Gizmo, having looked at the Ultimate Gremlin, I just knew that I had to keep going because these are pretty stellar figures. So of course we're talking about the Ultimate Stripe today. This is one that I'm definitely interested to take a look at. So we've got him here in the Ultimate style packaging. So we got deluxe collector friendly packaging. You can put him back in there. The front flap has got one of the poster images for Gremlins with Stripe popping out of the box. And then on the back we've got a film reel type of setup that shows images using Stripe to mimic images from the movie. And then being Ultimate packaging, you can pop this guy open. We've got a shot of Stripe here on the side, and then in the window you can see him and all of his accessories. So let's do it. Let's crack him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our evil gremlin leader Stripe. Again, one that I have definitely been looking forward to because, I mean, frankly, the NECA Gremlins are just firing on all cylinders right now. They are absolutely blowing me away with these figures. And for the most part, this guy is, you know, just a repaint or a redeco in some ways of the standard Ultimate Gremlin. He's basically the same figure from the neck down. But we do, of course, have a fantastically different head sculpt, some amazing accessories, and I mean, you gotta have Stripe. He's the main Gremlin, so I don't fault them at all for reusing an already fantastic body. After watching this review, though, if you want to snatch one up for yourself, head on over to Big Bad Toy Store. I'll put a link down below as I usually do. But let's kick things off real quick. We'll tackle articulation. If you saw my previous Gremlin review, you know what to expect here, but we're going to run through it real quick anyway, just in case you haven't seen that one. So we'll start at the head, and you can of course move the head up and down, and you can rotate side to side. The jaw is articulated, so you can hinge that jaw. The neck is articulated, helps go really far up, and then of course helps him go down, and then it does rotate. You've got hinged and a little swivel on those ears. Arms go out, they rotate, single rotating elbow, and then you've got rotation and hinge at the wrist there. Watch out with these. Pretty much the same issue that we had with the regular Ultimate Gremlin exists here. The joints on this figure were incredibly stiff. More so on this one than the Gremlin, the Ultimate Gremlin actually. So I had to do a lot of heating on this guy. He's fine now, but just, you know, a word to the wise, some caution, exercise some caution on that figure. And then you've got a diaphragm swivel, so backwards, forward, side to side, and rotation. Legs kick forward. They don't really kick back, but they do go out a little bit, and you can rotate there. He does, of course, have the same kind of, you know, weird style knees that we saw previously. So you can hinge that knee backwards, and you can rotate. You can hinge this part forward and backward and do a little rotation as well. And then there's a ball peg down at the feet. So you've got a little bit of rocker rotation, not tons of motion, just because of the fact that, you know, it's a big ankle that fits into that foot, but it does help to plant him firmly on the ground. I mean, once you pose this guy, he's pretty well set in place. I don't have any issues with stability or anything like that. It's just more of a cautionary tale. Again, just like with the Ultimate Gremlin, make sure you heat those joints. If you see any signs of stiffness, you don't want to snap one of these joints or any of those pegs or anything like that. Now, as is the case with the Ultimate Gremlin figure, my main interest for this particular figure is the look. I mean, frankly, these guys look like they jumped right out of the screen. Sculpt is on point, paint is on point, everything about them just captures the look of this particular character expertly. There's really no other way to say it. This particular figure is, of course, a lot of reuse from the Ultimate Gremlin, basically from the neck down. I don't really notice any true differences, and there's no real issue there. It's just sort of a thing to note. So you've got all of the kind of scaly, you know, textured skin all over, tons of paint detail that runs down the stripes on the arms and on the hands. You've got the big burst pattern on the chest. You've got the scaly plate look to the legs down here that runs down the thighs to the feet, and then you've got the three-toed claws down there. So a lot of texture, a lot of paint detail. He looks very reptilian, very scaly, and then you've got more of that striping pattern that runs down the back and backside of the arms. And then you've got the weird little gremlin tail that sticks out, which has a lot of dry brushing and tons of little fine details etched into those kind of scaled plates almost. So he is, you know, essentially the exact same figure, which again is fine because they all look very much the same from the neck down. But it's all about the head on this figure in terms of the look and the feel. And just look at this thing. I mean, frankly, it's the defining characteristic of this figure, outside of the fact that he does come with some pretty wild accessories.
But as far as the figure itself goes, the head is clearly where it's at. So you've got those big wide open ears with the yellow paint in there. Again, they are hinged and they can rotate to add a little bit of character to this guy. You've got all the spotted detail that runs across the eyelids, those big beady red eyes, and then you've got all that scaly skin texture, which it just works. It looks really, really nice. And then you've got, of course, the hinged jaw, which I already talked about, so you can open that, expose all those teeth. You've got that big red tongue in there with the gums, all the muck and the nastiness inside. It's just nicely done. For something as nasty as a little gremlin, it works very nicely. And then, of course, you have the aforementioned stripe that runs down the top of his head here. It is a soft goods type of fabric. It's an interesting thing because this piece is not attached. And obviously they did this for a reason, because of the fact that you need this to not be attached so that you can actually move all those joints. So what you do is just kind of pop it down, and I mean, from the back you can't even really tell. It's only when you're kind of looking at it from the side that you can see, oh yeah, that's not actually attached. Is it a problem? Not really. Frankly, I know they did it for a reason, to help you move the figure around. When I first got him out of the box, I thought something was wrong, but then I kind of quickly realized what exactly they were going for there. So I'm happy with the way that looks. It is his defining characteristic outside of the fact that he has a unique face. But it really just ties the whole look together. Everything about this guy screams Stripe, and I think NECA did a fantastic job here. And like I mentioned, here is our comparison between the two figures. So you can see, maybe at first glance you don't really see that they're crazy different, but they definitely are different. They very much share key characteristics with the spotting and the kind of scaly texture that's on the eyelashes and the eyebrows, and then the nose is really similar. But the mouth is really where it is. Stripe has a more snarled type of look to him, and his mouth kind of juts out a little further, where the other gremlin has a much wider expression. He has a different mouth altogether, frankly. So it's similar, but they are very different, especially when you get them right next to each other. You can see that, yeah, Stripe is definitely a gremlin all on his own, but beyond that, they share every other detail. They are, for all intents and purposes, the same figure with different heads, and then, of course, some very different accessories. And speaking of accessories, I mean, this guy comes with 3 pretty fantastic ones, 2 of which are definitely better than the third, but they're all very much appropriate to this particular character. And you might be wondering, well, he only comes with 3. The Ultimate Gremlin came with, I don't even remember, way too many. In some capacities, it's almost too much stuff that he came with. But this guy has 2 rather large accessories, so it very much evens out. And of course, it's all interchangeable, so you got tons of options when you have both of them. So to start with, we have got the saw blade here. It's just silver plastic with a serrated blade that runs around the perimeter of it. You have got the skateboard here, which for starters is fantastic. It's even got what I would assume is simulated grip tape on the top, so it's got a texture on there. You've got trucks with the NECA logo emblazoned in there, and 4 spinning wheels. So it very much is a functional skateboard. So that on its own is, fantastic. But the big one, literally and figuratively, is the chainsaw. It's got a bunch of little, references to the Gremlins movie emblazoned on the verbiage on the side. It's got a very nicely detailed chain that runs around the length of the blade. You've even got the power cord that pops out the back. It's done up in yellow and black plastic. You can hold it in the right hand, and then he kind of grips the crossbar at the top with his left hand. That's the best way that I've seen to do it, and it seems to hit the sweet spot right there, and he holds it just fine. It does throw him off balance just a little bit, so you might have to kind of compensate with your posing, but for the most part, once you kind of get him in the right spot, he's going to hold it just fine. And I mean, this is the perfect accessory for Stripe. If he only came with one, it would have had to have been this one, and frankly, NECA just blew it out of the park. This thing is perfect. So at the end of the day, we once again, and I keep saying this with NECA stuff lately, we have a winning figure. I really have no true gripes about this figure in terms of the sculpt and the paint and the accessories. It's all just a great, complete package. Even the packaging is fantastic. The only real negative when it comes to this particular figure and the line so far is that the joints have just been so tight. You do have to make sure you exercise some caution. Just heat him up. Make sure, that it's okay before you mess around with him. But otherwise, once I did that, he was fine. It's just more of a word to the wise kind of thing. Other than that, though, I think this is an absolute winner. It's a fantastic figure. It's a fun figure. And frankly, I'm far more interested in Gremlins toys than I ever expected to be, thanks to this figure and the Ultimate Gremlin and the Ultimate Gizmo. So they got to be doing something right. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Ultimate Stripe. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.